Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ahead and Unfiltered, the podcast where we eavesdrop on life and spill the tea you didn't even know you needed. It's your girl, Vilia, and today we are diving into something we've all dealt with, but maybe never put to words: small talk versus real talk. Where's the line? Yes, because let's be real, we've all had that moment where a conversation starts like, "How's your day?" And you're thinking, "Please don't make me talk about the weather again." But then we've also had moments where someone jumps straight into, "So, what's your greatest fear?" And you're like, "Whoa, pump the brakes." Yep, today we are spilling it all: why small talk isn't always bad, and how it can keep us stuck, and how to gracefully bridge that gap into the juicy, meaningful conversation we all secretly crave. And before we jump into the deep end, we'll do a quick recap of last week's unspoken rules of friendship episode, because let's be real, knowing the rules of friendship is key to figuring out when to keep it light and when to go all in. So grab your coffee, your tea, or let's be honest, your glass of wine. We're not judging, and let's get into it. All right, let's kick things off with a little recap of last week's episode. If you missed it, we spilled all the tea on the unspoken rules of friendship, rules that no one says out loud, but we all live by. And trust me, the DMs we got, juicy. These rules packed so much drama. One listener messaged us and said, "I overheard my best friend telling her coworker she's been hooking up with my ex. The worst part is she told me to my face she'd never got there." I mean, can you imagine the audacity? It's giving trust issues forever. If you're even thinking about dating your friend's ex, just stop. The friendship graveyard is already full of people who broke this rule. Yeah? Okay, this one hit a nerve. I overheard a group at a cafe, and one girl was venting like, "Every time I make plans with Mary, she cancels because her boyfriend suddenly wants to hang out. It's like I'm only her friend when she is single," and I felt that deep in my soul. It's one thing to reschedule every now and then, but if you're constantly ditching your friends, you're basically saying you're not as important. And honestly, that hurts. So this one got so many people in their feelings. One listener said, "I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and only one friend who visited me was the one I barely talk to anymore. Meanwhile, my so-called bestie just sent me a get well soon text." You know what I mean? Brother? That's a reality check right there. Friendships aren't just for the good times. They're for the ugly cry, "I need a hug, I just burned my life down" moments too. If you're not showing up, what are you even doing? We got another one that said, "I overheard a friend who lent money to their friend, and they've been trying to get it paid, but it seems like the other party is not ready to pay or return the money. And every time she tries to get the money, it becomes scandalous." I also get a comment from a friend which was saying, "Do not lend money to your friends. Just don't." I'll leave that up to you, people. Okay, so those were just a few highlights. If you missed the episode, go back and catch up. And shout out to everyone who sent us their stories. We love hearing what you've overheard in the wild. So, into the small talk versus real talk, because let's be honest, where's the line? We all complain about small talk, but sometimes it's a necessary evil. Small talk is like the warm up for a workout. If you've ever gone for a workout, or those warm up you're doing for PE lessons, you don't love it, but it gets you ready for the real thing. But here's the tea: some people never move past it. Like, are we really going to talk about the weather every single time we meet? You know what I mean? Like, let's start with a classic, the weather convo. I've heard this at the bus. I was boarding, heading home the other day, and someone said, it's so cold out here. It's so cold today, huh? And the other person was like, yeah, it feels like fall is here, is here. And that was it. The conversation died. It's so basic. If you're stuck in this loop, try asking something like, what's the best thing that has happened to you this week? Trust me, people light up when you ask them something real. Okay, but have you ever had a small talk moment that turns into something unexpectedly deep? So I was in the elevator with a coworker I barely know recently, and we started with the usual housework. But then I said, what's the biggest project you're working on right now? The next thing I know, he's telling me how he's struggling to balance work and family life. It went from zero to real so fast. I'm not saying I don't love those moments. I love those moments. That are proof that sometimes all it takes is the right question to break through the surface. You know what I mean? And on the flip side, have you ever met someone who skips small talk entirely and goes straight into real talk? But like too real. Okay, so I have had someone at a party say, hi, Rachel, and I'm recovering from a huge mental breakdown. And I was like, whoa. Maybe lead me with your favorite drink first. Yikes, don't get me wrong. I love vulnerability, but timing is everything. Real talk is like seasoning. You need the right amount at the right time. You know what I mean? So how do we move from small talk to real talk without making it weird or awkward? Let's break it down. So one is, instead of the usual how are you, try something like, what's been the highlight of your day? Or what's something you're really excited about right now? People love these questions because they are fresh and meaningful. Another one, if you want real talk, you have to give real talk. Instead of saying I'm fine, try, honestly, today's been a little rough. You'd be surprised how quickly people open up when you set the tone. Okay, on to another one. Not every moment is meant for deep conversation. If someone seems distracted or closed off, keep it light, save the real talk for another time. It's all about reading the room. Yeah? And that's a wrap on today's episode, Small Talk versus Real Talk. Where's the line? Hopefully we've given you some tools that make your conversations deeper, juicier, and way more interesting. And remember, small talk isn't the enemy. It's just the appetizer. The real magic happens when you take the leap into real talk. If you've loved this episode, share it with a friend who's still stuck in the weather chat cycle. And don't forget to DM us your stories, your overheard stories. We live for the tea. Thanks for tuning in to Overheard and Unfiltered. Until next time, keep the conversation unfiltered and the vibes real. Bye-bye.